Hello and welcome to the Kick Sugar Summit, the world's first summit on the topic of sugar, sugar addiction, and sugar addiction recovery. We know that if we're going to reverse our rising rates of chronic disease, we need to reduce or eliminate our consumption of sugar and refined carbohydrates. We are here to help you do that. There are a lot of speakers on our summit and a lot of information. Don't get overwhelmed. Catch who you can and just let the rest go. Alternatively, you could purchase one of our Summit VIP packages, which comes with an awesome ebook summarizing the core insights of each speaker, a year's worth of resources from our world of experts, and access to a whole year of weekly drop-in live Q&As with me, Florence, your host. Thank you for being here. I hope you love the summit, and I hope it changes your life.
All right, everybody, it's so good to be here on the Kick Sugar Summit. This is one of those times where, for me, I just think back to my first summit. The first time I ever attended a summit, I had no idea, no clue about what sugar really was doing to my body, but I binged on all the videos and I learned so much information about my body, about sugar, about what I was eating that was wrong. That to me, like, that's why these summits are so important, is because you get to just binge the content and then figure out what method or what person you like to follow. And then also just pick up on skills on what I call, these are life skills to me. They're coping skills, they're life skills. We need them every day. So I am so grateful to introduce our next guest, who is David Wolf. David is an amazing human. Let's start out with that. And then on top of that, David he comes to the sugar world in a different way. He used to actually bake artisan bread, which is crazy. And he was also a registered dietitian. I really enjoy listening to David, mainly because he really understands that connection between like what we crave, how to stop those cravings, and then how to carry on through life, because that's what this is about. Our food controls our mood. David has got it down. And I'm so grateful to just know him. He's also like the co-founder of Sugar RX Global. And that's an amazing group that does incredible work on just learning how to recover and connect with people, and also to grow just your ways and trying to figure out which foods might or might not work for you. So today I'm welcoming David Wolf. Hey, David.
Yeah, it's so good to be here and to see you and to be part of this again. And, I think this is my life's purpose. I get really excited about doing things like this, about giving people some hope and giving them some information so they can get access to some hope. Because hope is one of those things you don't have to earn. I can just give it away. So that's really what my goal is today.
That's so cool. So tell me this. I know we're going to start just kind of talking about a couple of things that people can get right off the bat. So we know that you've got a book that you're a co-author of, which is called Fix My Cravings. And I don't have that book with me right now. Do you have a book? Thank you. That's the book, y'all. You need to get this book. It's also written by Cynthia as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Cindy. Yeah.
Yes. So great book. I think most people don't realize that what the dragon that you're dealing with all the time is really like cravings. Like we can kind of stop our the sugar for a while, but then you end up with those thoughts in your mind like, what? Oh my gosh, I want one of those. Fill in the blank, right? And so I think you do a magnificent job in just introducing how people can stop those cravings in that book. But then you also have an ebook, right? That's
Yeah.
called Craving Crusher Skills. And this is
Yeah,
what
we
we're
have a
taking
brand new
from.
ebook, the Craven Crusher Skills Manual, and it's really about application. The tools in there are They're simple to use, but they're really profound about sort of taking your recovery to the next level, like identifying, learning about what we call the red dog and the blue dog, and identifying, like we do this craving self-discovery, so you can really identify where these things are coming from, what's worked, what hasn't worked, really gets you to the point where you're like, by the end of that tool, you're like ready to do something. You're
Yeah.
like, you know a lot about yourself. You're ready to take action. So it's really all about getting you into that place where you can start moving forward, building some momentum in your recovery. So yeah, I think it has like 15 or 16 tools in there.
Wow.
So it's really awesome. And I think we just wanted to make something simple so people could just start to apply it and get results.
I love it.
Because the more complicated it is, it doesn't work. So we just really wanted to simplify everything for folks.
I love it. So let's get into our conversation. You are so good with just kind of giving people a greater understanding of just those techniques and approaches, the tools like you're talking about. So can you tell like our audience just some of those techniques or tools that they could use just to start to heal their brain and body?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to identify what's not working. And then we need to start to replace it with the things that might work. And usually I think we internally know. We don't think we know. Like we doubt ourselves and we don't trust our gut and our instincts, right? But we know. And so it's starting to create ways to sort of tap into that knowing, right? Our gut. And I think we've let go a lot of that stuff, at least. So I assume if I'm talking to you that you're an addict, that's just what I do. So if you're an addict, you're going to really resonate with the next half hour or so because I'm going to speak directly to you, right? And that's just it's I would talk to everybody. So I think there's something called a stupid plan. Stupid plan was originally founded by Jordan Peterson. And basically what a stupid plan is the concept of it's like, so you have some sort of a goal in mind. Let's say it's like crushing your cravings. That's so your stupid plan is like one or two steps that you're going to take to get you closer to that goal. And so
Mhm.
you ask yourself like, okay, what could I do that might be helpful? And you might come up with like, you know what, I'm gonna pilfer my pantry and get rid of contraband, like things with let's say sugar grains and seed oils. And then I'm going to start keeping a food journal. And I'm going to be like, that sounds great. Why don't we start there and see what happens? And then what you do is you do your plan. You know that your plan is eventually going to fail, but that just means you have information. So when it doesn't work, you just adapt. And so you keep doing the things that work until they stop working, and then you just adapt them. But it allows us to like tap into this information that we have about ourselves. Because like if I were to follow your plan, Sean, it wouldn't work for me because it's your plan. It's not my plan. So it enables me to sort of rudder my own ship. Like the concept of sailing, right, is that you have a course in mind and then you get thrown off course and you just rewrite yourself back to course. One of my mentors was a railroad guy, and he would always say, "Let's get back on the main line." So it's like the point is that you just have to redirect yourself back to what your purpose is, and then because you're going to notice yourself, "Wow, I'm deviating from my purpose, and it feels uncomfortable." Yeah, it does. All right, let's get back. Just like gently put yourself back. Let's adapt the plan. Let's change what we're doing, so we can get real results. Because that's why I'm here. I'm here because I like the benefits of recovery. And I don't like the consequences of not being in recovery. They aren't good. So I keep doing the things that work for me.
I love that. So when I hear you talk quite a bit about the recovery protection, like
Yeah, absolutely.
almost like it's a plan. And that's what you're talking about is just basically having that protection. We know we're going to fail, or there's a higher likelihood that we could fail or fall off. But you're just saying, hey, you can get back on.
I'm saying like if so clinically a relapse is defined as someone who's been clean for 6 months and then went back to using whatever the substance is, it doesn't matter, right?
Mhm.
Um, but you can start protecting your recovery on day one. I mean, you don't have to wait. till like you're 3 or 4 months in, or till you're through detox, or like, so I think recovery protection is about being proactive about protecting the things that matter to you right now, and understand that your plan is a living thing. As you change, your plan will have to change, right? So some of the threats I faced when I was 30 days clean, they're not threats to me anymore.
Mhm.
So I don't have to worry. I don't like have to be actively engaged in defending those things. It doesn't mean that when they show up, I don't need to do the things that I know work. It just means that like they're not actively part of my plan. It's almost like you have this amazing brain and you have 5% of your brain is conscious and the rest of it's subconscious. So what we need to do is use our conscious brain in order to strengthen our subconscious brain so that it sort of runs a program on its own. So like I feel like recovery is like a program. So once it's running, it sort of works on its own, and you'll see that you get the benefits of it. So the point of recovery protection, as opposed to relapse prevention, is we felt like it just sounded awful. It just sounded like, well, I'm waiting for something bad to happen, and then at that point, I'll do something about it. And we're like, no, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So we're going to just be actively engaged in the process of protecting what's meaningful to us. And that is recovery, right? That's the changing my mind. That's the building meaningful relationships. So I need things that protect those things. And so we use these cards and they become really personal to people, because they're written by them and they're written for them. So we suggest that they give them some sort of name that stands out to them. Like maybe they're like negative thinking. Well, maybe they want to call it like Dreadhead, or negative Nancy, or something that stands out to them so they can remember. And then the action plan is designed to solve the problem that was initiated by the disease of addiction, right? So our recovery has to solve the problems that our addiction creates. If it doesn't solve them, we still have a problem, right? And eventually it's going to find our way back into our life, and it's going to bring us back to the things that we basically are trying to walk away from. So I think it's really important that, first of all, people identify that this is an ongoing thing. It's a living thing. It needs to be taken care of on a daily basis. It's not difficult to identify the things that you're having trouble with. I can just ask you, answer this question with this prompt. I know my recovery is in trouble when, and you just make a list. It's that easy. You just spend a minute and you make a list. Those are the problems that you're facing today. And then you just look at the list and you pick the item that's of the most concern to you right now. We call that the alligator closest to our boat. Like that's the problem you need to deal with right now. That's priority. And then you just come up with a solution that you think will work. You go back to the concept of the stupid plan. Well, I think this will help and this will help. Okay, test it. See if it works. Is it protecting your recovery? If it's not, adjust it, tweak it, change it, add to it, subtract from it, make it better. And I think it's really cool if you have these all on your card. You sort of watch the refinement process as you've done things and seen them not work and failed. And like a card that you've had for a while is marked up. I mean, you can see all the crosses and you can see your progress. Then take a look back and see where you are now as opposed to where you were when you started. That's growth. We have to recognize those things.
Wow. So, what's crazy is I'm just thinking about, like, don't we do that like every day? We're trying to do that in some way or another. We're trying to do that every day. I think about like the process of just being a nurse. I mean, you're literally trying to figure out the skill set that would make me start this IV faster, or so I can get it done and become more efficient. So basically, your program sets people up to refine and become efficient in knowing themselves and then just protecting themselves. And I love that.
I think it's all about like, growth and meaning,
Mhm.
because I think, active addiction is like a very purposeless existence. I mean, it's very like, um, we're just being driven by drives. I mean, there's nothing there. And recovery is the opposite. It's about filling that hole, like with real, like meaningful relationships, meaningful emotions, meaningful books, meaningful experiences. And so I think that's what really it's about, but it's about people identifying the aspects of themselves that they're not too pleased with and want to change, and a roadmap on how to do that in real time. So it's not really, we don't focus on food really much at all. I mean, we get people out of the food, and when people are struggling with the food, we offer them suggestions, but we really focus on life after we're out of the food. How do we do that? Because that's something a lot of people haven't done for a really long time, and so how do they live now that they don't have anything to numb on, you know, and helping them identifying the things that they switch to, um, different outlets, so that they can attack those things too in real time, right? Because those are all they're all connected, with the addicted brain, the more different, better, that aspect of ourself that always wants to change the way we feel, whether it's through, porn, sex, food, codependency, relationships, TV, screen time. I mean, it's all engaging that same drive to change the way we feel. And if we don't address those things, my view is eventually we're going to end up back in the food.
I totally agree. I think one thing that is really important for people who are listening today is to really just kind of understand, like, the summit is about just identifying the person or calling out, and so to me, like, David, your story about how you arrived in this space is an incredible one, because it wasn't necessarily a weight thing for you. You know,
No.
so how do people who are like you, or maybe had some issues like you had in the past with food or sugar or cravings, how can you call them out, or how can they identify whether or not they have a problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, only the individual can decide, for themselves, which is a great thing. And it's also a very hard thing, because I think sometimes people have, well, no, that's not true. Everyone has denial. Okay, so you're in denial right now, whether you know it or not. It's just a matter of recognizing it and doing something about it. So for me, I didn't have the outward problem of a physical appearance issue. I mean, I think at most, I worked in New Jersey, and basically I could spend $1 a day and eat unlimitedly in the cafeteria at this hospital, and I gained 15 pounds, but like that was the extent of my weight problem. So it just was never part of my story. Um, Whether that's because I was put on stimulants at a really young age for ADHD, or my genetic makeup. My dad's a pretty small frame guy too. I don't know. But it was just the insanity of it all. The doing things against my will. And that I felt, I was being condemned. My life was being trapped by guilt. I just like, I would tell myself, like, you're gonna have a good day today, and I would like get home, and the first thing I'd do is I'd like raid my pantry, or on my way to my shower in the morning, I'd need a fix. And then I'd be like halfway up the stairs after the fix to get to the shower, and I'd be like, nah, it wasn't good enough. So then I'd run back downstairs and get more. Like, and it just never transcended into weight, but I still had all the other pain and suffering, all the other symptoms of addiction, right? Um, so I think we need to begin to identify and with those things. So I think one way you can identify is through the trigger-free triangle, which is guilt, debate, and romance. So does the food make you feel guilty? Do you question whether you should or shouldn't do something? Like the angel and devil on your shoulder. And romance is like that rendezvous, that like secret lover. So, and I think addicts really know what I mean when I say that, and non-addicts are like, what are you talking about? Because it is like a lust thing. And so when I consumed the foods that engaged those three areas, I ended up in a much darker place. And so it wasn't about weight. It wasn't about body image. I've always pretty much been this size. So it was more about mental insanity, a lack of focus, denial. In fact, the reason I really identified for the first time with food addiction, a woman I was doing a training with Esther Helga. She's from Iceland. And she said to me, I did this like assessment. She met with me for 20 minutes after doing the assessment. She was like, I think you're an early stage food addict. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I got no defense. My mom's a food addict. My sister's a food addict. Look at my mom's family. Like, you shake my family tree, a bunch of addicts fall out. I mean, it's just, they're everywhere. I mean, like, I have an uncle who will literally park himself in a party. He'll like sit in front of the fridge.
Mhm.
So it's just like, you know, and they'll talk about food for 3 hours while they're there. It's like the whole focus of everything. So it's not a surprise to me. So I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. It still took me some time to get better, and to finally figure out the food and get it down. But at that point, I knew that if I didn't do something about this, it would eventually get worse, and I would eventually have a weight problem, probably.
Mhm.
So maybe, who knows? But still, it's like a quality of life thing. Like, do you want your life to be better? Would this make your life better? Okay, then, are you willing to do the work to make your life better? Good. That's all we need. We just need an initial initiation of effort,
Yeah,
a desire to have a better life. That's all you need. Just something small. Just a spark.
I love that. So can we talk a little bit more? Can we just highlight SugarRx Global? Because I think, part of the issue that I found, once I found out about sugar and that it was harmful, is like you need a place to land. You need a community. You need the connection. You don't need to be the only weird person at work who's just kicking sugar. So, tell us about Sugar RX Global.
Yeah, so basically, we found a really, really wide landing pad for a very narrow group of people. So, we based everything on principles, everything that we do. Like, literally, we make decisions, they're all based on some principle, whether it's honesty, integrity, open-mindedness, service. Like, everything that we do is driven by that, because those are some of the things we learned as in a process of recovery. So actually, essentially, we were trying to create uniform pricing for the sugar tool, which is Bitten Johnson's assessment and validation of addiction using the ICD-10 and DSM-5, criteria. And so that's what happened. And then we got a handle, a website, and then we got another website handle, and then that was it. And then it just started to grow. We started to have like these ideas about how we could help people in a really big way. Like, again, a small group of people. And we're very clear, and we don't deviate from our primary purpose, which is to help people get clean and live in recovery one day at a time. Like, that's what our purpose is. So, like, if you're an emotional leader, you're not our person. If you have binge eating disorder and you want to treat it through a psychological method, you're not our people. So we're very clear that in order to be here, you need to be a food addict. And if you're not a food addict, you would not want to be here. I can tell you that, right? You would not feel comfortable with the kind of questions and the kind of sharing and the kind of things that happen in our community. So we knew there needed to be a connections piece. It's like, if I wanted to stress anything today, it's like connection. Addicts need connection. The opposite of the disease of addiction isn't recovery, it's connection. It's connection with others, it's connection with the universe, it's connection with ourselves. So we knew that. So that was the first thing we knew. And that was like, we have a model called care, and the C is connection, right? And then we knew people needed to know what to do, because people were confused. They just didn't know what to do. So then they needed action steps. So that's the second thing. That's the A, right? And then they needed to learn how to protect the things that they had gained as a result of working on themselves in the community.
Mhm.
And that's recovery protection. And then they needed to stay ahead of the curve, and that's E, that's education, right? So connection, action steps, recovery protection, education, that's care. That's how you take care of yourself. That's how you take care of each other. If one of those things is missing, essentially, um, you're just waiting for a disaster. if you're not addressing those 4 areas, if you're not staying ahead of the curve, you're not protecting based on the information that you have, if you're not taking actions and you're not connecting with other addicts, then I hate to say it, but you're in trouble. And so then what we did is we found out, over time that by doing this, that people needed certain information in order to be successful. They needed to know about the brain. They needed to know that it was retrainable, and they needed to know how to retrain it. And then, I mean, as we grow, we learn more and more and more from the people that are with us, and we get better and better and better. We look at our job like my job description is I'm your disease interrupter. I'm here to interrupt your disease. That's what I do. And if I have to cut you off, I will. And it's not to be rude. It's so that because I can tell when your disease is behind the steering wheel. Because my disease drove my car for 30 years. I know what it feels like. I know how it thinks. I know how it acts. And so we tell people we're pleasantly pushy. We are pleasantly pushy. I'm going to get you into action as fast as I possibly can. I'm going to remind you that you're supposed to be doing certain things. Like I'm going to push you and I'm going to smile at you while I do it. Like I'm going to show you that you can do hard things and I'll give you a smile and be like, no, Betsy, I know you can do this. No, I can't. You can. You can. When are you going to start? I'll start later. Like what day? When are you going to schedule it in? Like, let's make this real and tangible so that like that you've done it. So it's like asking people these questions because the addict is going to try to wiggle their way out. That's just what they're going to do. That's what they do. So we need to make it as concrete as possible. So I think that's what ARX Global is about to me. It's about connecting you with people that will love you and challenge you into recovery all at the same time, and it's about creating a space where we can talk about absolutely anything. I mean, Anna's run groups on care down there, like women's health stuff, like, and like, so nothing is a body image, dysmorphia. We did like an eye contact group once where we put breakout rooms and they had to like look each other in the eye for 5 minutes and like then come back and express what was that like for them? Like what came up? I mean, we do a lot of stuff around emotions because I think emotions are a lot of reasons why we end up eating because we don't know how to process through them. Like I think in active addiction, we have like elated and depressed, and then there's a massive chasm between those two things. And so we have to start to build up our repertoire and this must be discomfort. Oh, this must be anger. This must be sadness. And then we learn to live with those things because those things aren't going away. And so I think it's just about interrupting disease and growing. And literally, we will do anything. Like nothing is off the table. Every Monday morning, I read kids' books to grown men and women because the messaging is simple and clear, right? So we run a group based on a kid's book. Because kids' books aren't written for kids, by the way. They're written for parents. And the more I am a parent, the more I know that. I mean, that's the messaging I need, right? And so it connects. And so anything that will reach you, we do movies, we do book clubs. Really, you make a suggestion, we'll probably do it. It's about just reaching more addicts in a different way so they can have a new experience in recovery. And they can build on the experiences that they've had. So, yeah, that's what I think we are.
Yeah, I think you're like that and that. It's more like a bag of chips if you're gonna put it on a bag of chips. Because I've been connected with you all before. And so I know
Sure.
that you offer like such a robust program.
Yeah.
And I think what's really difficult for most people is they find out this small piece of information about sugar, and then they say, okay, here's a community I think that might work for me. And it may be missing all of the other things, right?
Yeah.
So I do know that, and I think you're the one who coined the term, like this is a group that's run by addicts for addicts, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a powerful way to change, and to transform and heal, because it's not just the one way approach. You guys are in there literally putting hands on people like we've got you. We've got you. Oh, you got that issue? We got you. We've done that. We know somebody with that. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah, I think it's about, I really think it's about doing the work, but I think it's about enjoying the work, and like I think one of the big things we focus on that a lot of folks don't even touch is fun.
Yes.
Um, I mean, I think it's really important. Like, if you don't enjoy your life, why are you working to hold on to it, right? We need to enjoy life. Like, enjoy is like in joy. Like, we have to be in joy about the way that we eat, about the relationships, about our work, about our recovery, about the groups we attend. Because I don't know about you, but I stopped doing things I don't enjoy. And so I think, and the other thing is, I think open mouths get fed. I
Yes.
mean, if you're not willing to open your mouth and ask for help, guess what? You're not getting help. Um, and so I think we've tried to create an atmosphere where it's really easy for people to ask for help. And we have folks, they create really cool relationships. So we call them capability buddies.
Yeah.
Because we have people hold each other capable. As opposed to holding them accountable.
Accountable. Yeah.
It's about like getting to that joy space, that space where we're really holding on to each other in a meaningful way instead of just like, well, did you do your homework? No, that's not what this is about. It's about holding people responsible to living the way that they want to live, um, holding them capable, right? Because they can do it. Anyone can do this. It really isn't all that hard if you know what to do. I think, and you put yourself in a position where you're around people that do also know what to do. I think a lot of people make this way bigger than it has to do, and it's like any person with a goal that's been successful knows that it's not a goal. It's a series of very small goals that are put in line and that you just check off one by the other. And you don't know what the next goal is until you've completed the one you're just working on. So, and I think like that's where the alligator closest to the boat comes in. Like, it all comes tying together so that we're just going to manage the thing that's right in front of us right now. That's all I have to do. Like, I just have to get to bed today clean. That's my job. And if that's not my number one priority as an addict, what am I doing?
Right.
That's it. And like, and these things help us do that. You're always going to occasionally want to use. You're an addict. That's normal, but it doesn't mean you have to. It's just like, just know that. Just knowing that you don't have to was huge. That I actually had a choice, that I could decide to take action on something that would make it more difficult for me to live a way of life that led to depravity and death. Because that's what addiction does. It takes away everything I care about and it'll kill me. So I think finding a way, a joyful way, a fun way to live a meaningful life with other people that want that. Yeah, I'm all in. That sounds like a lot of fun. And we find that self-improvement is fun. Like, looking back and seeing like, wow, I didn't react to my toddler the other day, and I was like, wow, how did I do that? And it was like a passive thing. It wasn't like an active thing. I didn't like tell myself not to act a certain way. It just happened because I'm around people that are doing that. I'm around people that are working on themselves, and that just, it gives me power.
So true. That's so true. You so rock. You so rock, Dave. You know
Well,
that.
I mean, I love this stuff, and it just fills my spirit, So it's easy, to do well what you love.
It's true.
So it's like, it's not an uphill battle. Now, if I was still working in a nursing home, passing out nutrition supplements, right, I wouldn't rock.
Yeah. That's so
I
right.
wouldn't, right? Because my spirit wouldn't be, thriving. So find what you love to do and just do it with all your heart. And I hope that's recovery. I really do.
I get it. I'm so with you on that. So I'm gonna close with let's you've got the book. Can you show us the book one more time?
Yeah, sure.
So that's one book you all can get a hold to. I think it's great. You got to get it. The other thing is his book that's an ebook that's online. It's called Cravings Crusher Skills Manual. So it's an ebook. I think you can get it on Amazon. Is that correct?
It's on it's actually right now it's on sugarxglobal.com. And when you
Right.
go there, it's just right there.
Okay.
It'll be impossible to miss.
And that is well, two more things. One is how do they get in touch with ARX Global? That's the website. Is that correct?
That's the website, yeah. And you actually have the opportunity on our website to speak with one of us one-on-one. So you'll get either me, Judy, who happens to be my mom, or Anna. And we just want to meet you where you're at. I mean, we just want to see what you're doing, and and if we can help you, we'll tell you that we can, and or pass you off to someone that we think might be a better fit. But I think if you want to enjoy this process, if you want to build meaningful relationships and have a better life, give it a try. You have just nothing to lose. I mean, I hope you land on my schedule. I hope I get to talk to you. So I can help interrupt your disease and give you some steps that you can take to move you forward.
All right, we're going to close this screen with your face and your words, because to me, there's nothing more important than the hope that we are able to deliver to people on an individual basis, just using our lens and our perspective. So we'll close with maybe a couple of words from you and just whatever you want to tell, the audience.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that I believe in you, first of all. I don't care what you've done in the past. That doesn't matter. I believe in you. I believe you can change. I believe you can recover. I believe you can enjoy your life. I believe you can have meaningful relationships because I've seen it happen. I've seen people come in before me, broken, in despair, and heal all that and like a phoenix rise. So, I wish that for you, and just know that I believe that it's possible for you, and that all it's going to take from you is a little bit of effort. And I think some simple action steps that are going to make a huge difference for you in your life. So that's all I got.
All right. All right. Thanks, Dave.
I hope you enjoyed this interview, and before you go, do one more thing. Stop, think back on the interview while it's fresh in your mind, and write down your favorite takeaway in a special dedicated journal. If you do this, at the end of the summit, you'll have a page or two of nuggets of wisdom to guide you forward. And remember, this is just the beginning. At the end of the summit, you'll be invited to attend a free webinar where I will personally summarize the key insights of our speakers and pull it all together into a practical plan of action. You can also check out our Facebook page where you can connect with others and ask questions, and our Kick Sugar Coach podcast and YouTube channel for additional inspiration. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next interview.